G'day legends, I hope that you're doing well and managing to get past all the April Fools. I've almost been stumbled by a few myself. Today, firstly, as always, we're going to have a look at the maps, but then we'll talk about how Russia has taken over the presidency of the UN Security Council, Ukraine buying more armoured vehicles, and Russia's promises to boost their ammunition on the front line. But as always, let's look at the maps as we've seen some changes, and we don't have a Rybar map today, but I think we'll get by with some of the information that we've got. So, of course, here we have Ukraine, the capital of Kyiv. In the red, we have areas occupied since 22 and purple since 14, this being Crimea and Donetsk. Now we've got Romania, Poland, Belarus, and Russia around here. So, let's go in on Bakhmut, as we will have a look later, but Bakhmut is where we've only seen territorial changes today. I haven't seen anything anywhere else, although the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense says that there is fierce fighting all along the front line, especially in Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Mariinka, and Vuhledar as well, which we've seen over the past month. Those places have been at the first and foremost of the assaults. So, today, April Fools, 1st of April. If we roll back till yesterday, what do we see? Well, what we do see is Russia have continued to advance on the north and south of Bakhmut, so yesterday and today. So completely clearing the Azom industrial plant in this region too, and continuing that advance into the centre of Bakhmut, and to close this pincer up on this city. As we know, this city has been the absolute forefront of fighting, and there's been many people sadly lose their lives in this absolute meat grinder, and this has been really the leverage point for many sides, saying that it is stopping offensive taking place on both sides because of the attrition of forces here. Sorry, my voice has been gone for bloody forever, so I apologise in advance. But I think this map is probably actually understating the Russian advances in this region. So we're going to go to this area in Bakhmut, which is where we saw yesterday the Wagner flag hoisted. We're going to take this reference point. So we'll take this main road and this L, this main road being 3 in on the left. So 3 in on the left, this L here. So this building is where we saw the Wagner flag. So in my opinion, this red zone is more like here. Now, it may not be assessed and under full control, but there was a Wagner flag hoisted on this building. So the situation here is absolutely worsening. So let's just have a zoom in on the ISW and compare how that's looking as well. So how is this? And since yesterday, there's absolutely been ground taken on the south of... on the south of this major road here. Now this major road, if we go 3 in, it's about here where we see, and even better, I can grab this number, chuck it in, and we'll show you where that Wagner building was. So that's where the flag was hoisted. And of course, it looks very different on this map, as this map is down here and it's there. So you can absolutely see the differences between these maps. Although this map isn't showing as much controlled territory on the north side that Russia is saying to be having. So let's have a look at also some of the spring conditions in Bakhmut. And we know that so much snow has come down. A lot of guys have reached out to me going, isn't it all uncommon for this time of year in Ukraine? I've been there this time of year, but not this far in the east, at least at this specific date. So you can just see how heavy this snow is, and the offensives absolutely will be delayed by things like this. You know, I'm not a snow creature, all from Australia, but this looks like many inches or feet of snow, which absolutely has a huge effect. Once this starts thawing out, the grounds are going to get more and more sloppy from there. On warm up, they say, over the month of March, Russia increased the area of their land control by 70 square kilometres. This equates the total being 16.68% of Ukraine is occupied by Russian forces, a 0.01% increase since the end of February. So, of course, this far zoomed out, you can't see anything. But at this rate, it would take something like 6 decades for Russia to actually completely take Ukraine. Although we do know that things can go very quick one way, very slow. It's in areas, so we can never really predict the future of how this will actually look, but I thought that was very interesting to see on this day. So let's just have a quick look and see if there's any changes. Not really since yesterday, or none actually being shown. If we go on the ISW map, jump into Avdiivka, no changes and Mariinka as well. Here, not showing any real change. Let's look at Mariinka on this map since yesterday. Today, no change. And I had a quick look before, and there are no changes up and down the front line, at least being shown on the maps. And sadly, I don't have a Rybar map to compare against, but I thought that would just be, a quick go over of the maps as we're seeing some little things come and go. But the situation in Bakhmut with the snow, with ground continually being still taken by the Russian forces, it is getting worse and worse. So that was yesterday and today, and it could actually be worse than this is showing. You've got to remember that these maps, anything where you see, something have, one of the states' flags, so this one's very pro-Ukraine, Rybar's very pro-Russian. Anytime you see that, you can instantly know that that has some level of agenda or narrative to follow. Although I do believe Deep State and Rybar are very, very similar and spot on with a lot of their predictions. No hate to them, it's just the way it is. But that will end our mapping for today. Now, the Polish Prime Minister has written on Twitter that Ukraine will purchase 100 Polish-built Rosomark armoured personnel characters with funds from the US and the EU. Now, these are based on the Finnish Patria armoured vehicles, which carry a 30mm cannon and also 7.62 machine gun. Now, I think this is a good example of how funds given to Ukraine can be a bit of a closed-circuit economy for the West. Yes, a lot of money gets wasted, as it does in every military. Ask any soldier, sailor, airman. Money in the government just gets soaked into so much bureaucracy. But war is the biggest business, but it can absolutely float economies. And military spending worldwide is absolutely massive currently. And the countries and companies that make military hardware are having a huge benefit from this. For example, look at Saab. Now, Saab make the most virgin cars ever, but they also make things like the N-Law, the Carl Gustaf, the AT4, as well as a whole range of other equipment from fighter jets, submarine things, all this. But these are the parts we see most used in Ukraine. So we have Saab. So we have 5 years here, and let's just roll back to, this was Feb 1, and by here we have March 11th. Now, I can't get an exact pinpoint on this graph, but what happened between, early February and later March around the world for military? We had the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. And look at this, ever since, we've had a massive increase in this stock price. Now, this is the max data we actually have, and I don't know if I can actually grab, no, I can't, but it's gone somewhere from pre-war, let's say $12 to now $31. So a huge jump, as we've seen way more countries then go, hey, the N-Laws work fantastically, we should get that. Private business, I absolutely know, and lots of people, and you can accuse me of this too, are monetizing war. I think things like this just show more on paper of that. So let's look at BAE Systems as well. So this is February 18th, and then we go February 18th to today, a 60% increase. But look, if we look at the 4 years prior, and then since here, and this is not a surprise at all. As it's commonly said, war is a racket. And I didn't really understand this as a soldier, but I've done some work over the past years in private defense industry, and now doing this, it couldn't be more true. But where I speak on this closed economy is giving money to Ukraine from the West to then spend on Western weapons. You need to break down this money. These people who are, solidly, we're wasting this money, we're throwing this money at something. Well, a lot of this money is sort of in this closed economy, if that makes sense. Now, it's well known a major factor limiting both sides currently is a lack of ammunition. With both sides having stockpiles getting hit, Western manufacturing really has taken a back step over the past decade or more, and sanctions against Russia crippling some areas of their manufacturing. The attritional warfare of bullets and shells and men is becoming ever present. Now, this is why President Macron has said that China could be one of the only countries that could have a game-changer effect. Although, over the past day, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu has promised to boost munitions to the front line. He has published that necessary measures are being taken to increase supply. The volume of the most demanded ammunition has been determined, adding for both conventional and high-precision types of weapons. Although there are many doubts around Russia's ability to actually keep manufacturing high-tech weapons, as the sanctions against Russia are affecting those areas the hardest. Now, within the United Nations, each one of the Council's 15 members takes up the presidency for a month to chair the Security Council on a rotating pattern. Now, the last time Russia had the presidency was actually in Russia, February 22, when it launched its full-scale invasion against Ukraine. Well, it's actually now rotated back around, as each of the Council's 15 members have taken up presidency for a month. This has caused Ukrainian President Zelensky to heavily criticise the UN very publicly, saying it is hard to imagine something more evident that proves the complete bankruptcy of such institutions. There is no such form of terror that has not been committed by Russia. Now, despite Ukraine's complaints, the United States has said it could not block Russia from taking the presidency. Now, Russia is a permanent council member, and White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre has told in a news briefing this week, unfortunately, Russia is a permanent member of the Security Council and no feasible legal pathway exists to change that reality. The other permanent members of the Council are the UK, US, France, and China. Now, over history, all of these countries have committed crimes against humanity, some more recent than others, and some still ongoing. Although the truth is this role is mostly procedural. Russia's presence as a permanent member on the Security Council means it can veto resolutions, but to pass a Security Council vote, there must be 9 votes in favour, with none of the 5 permanent members voting against. Ukraine's presidential advisor, Mikhailo Podolyak, said the move was another of international law, an entity that wages an aggressive war, violates the norms of humanitarian and criminal law, destroys the UN Charter, neglects nuclear safety, can't head the world's key security body. Now, I can understand both sides in this argument, as I can sympathise with why Ukraine want Russia completely kicked out, but on the other side, the UN have international responsibility that goes well beyond Ukraine's borders and needs to take into account that Russia is still a major nuclear power who continually threatens the potential use of these weapons of mass destruction. And I think it's a case of keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. But legends, that's it for me today. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for all the recent support. I hope you are having a great weekend or starting a week off well. So look after yourselves. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, bye-bye.